Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode. We have a very special guest for you today, Jason Pizzino. He has a lot of insights on technical analysis, something that we don't typically cover a lot on our channel. But for those of you who are interested in learning more about that and understanding what everyone is talking about, I think today's video is going to be very helpful for you. So let's get into it. Thanks for being with us today, Jason. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and see that intro done live myself, the crypto tips. It's awesome.
A special moment.
It is. So we want to have a look at some technical analysis today. I thought it'd be a cool thing we can come on and just go through some of the basics, because we definitely see it in the crypto space. It's just like an absolute scam across many channels and Twitter, everywhere else. So I thought I'd just mention a couple of little things. Maybe we'll go through some examples like on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And, if your audience has questions, by all means, they can jump across, ask some questions in your comments. And obviously we've got my channel down there as well, and we can work it out from there.
Yeah, of course. So for anyone's interested, of course, you can find all the contact information for Jason and his YouTube channel down below in the video description.
All right, so the first chart I wanted to have a quick look at is Bitcoin. And I thought I'd bring up the example that we saw the other day, which was the head and shoulders pattern that everyone was going to get destroyed on. And it was urgent and everyone has to have a look at this. I guess I'll make a couple of points throughout the video, but the main thing I want to have a look at, and probably the most important, I think, for your viewers, because you look at like long-term investing, even if it's like shorter term investing, maybe 2-3 years or thereabouts, you want to be looking at a long-term chart, like at least, the very least, a daily. Even that's too short. So the head and shoulders that everyone was raving on about was on the hourly chart on Bitcoin. So we've basically got our chart here. We're using tradingview.com. And what everyone was raving about was a shoulder, a head, and then they're worried about this shoulder, and then that's a neckline through there. So let me know if I'm going too fast, or we can break it down a little bit more for people. But from that point, everyone was freaking out. Everyone pumped YouTube full of videos about Bitcoin is going to 20,000 because they were measuring this range here, projecting that down and saying, yep, Bitcoin's over, it's at 20. Not knowing that an hourly chart only produces short-term effects. So you could also see it on a 4-hour chart, just to give them a little bit of credit. And sure, it is a minor head and shoulders, which didn't play out in the end and ended up going up. So even if that did occur, it's still only a 4-hour chart. And so for the rest of us who are trading or investing on longer term timeframes, we should really be looking at a daily chart when the market goes crazy. And where's the head and shoulders now? Exactly. It's disappeared. Yeah. Plus, we should be on the weekly if we're buying in at the lows back down here in 2019 and 2020, because we're looking for accumulation areas. We got a nice accumulation down the bottom. Even if we got wrecked up here and we're buying at 12 to 13,000, there's still more accumulation along the way before we took off. So on a weekly chart, the head and shoulders has just disappeared. There's nothing there. Now there's no head and shoulders. So I guess that's the first thing I want to bring up for people, is make sure you understand which time frame you're looking at, plus which time frame these talking heads are raving on about. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's a great tip. So yeah, head and shoulders is a common phrase for how a graph can line up. What are some extremely bullish and extremely bearish signals that you pay attention to?
Sweet, good question. Let's have a look at Bitcoin going back. This was the breakout that I was super convinced about. Now it's pretty conservative, and it's a triple top. I don't know if you guys have heard of that before. One top, two top, three tops. It's also a double top, but in this case, it came back to a triple top, and Bitcoin broke out of it through July. So the main thing I looked for here in the breakout was higher volume. So the volume is at the bottom here. I use bars. A lot of people use candles and they just look nice and colorful and things like that. But with the bars, I just keep it simple and just try and take all the noise out of it. Just like we do with the news, we want to take all the freaking noise out of the place so that we can have a clear idea. So the bullish signal I looked for here was just huge volume on the breakout of what was a major bearish pattern. So the signal is we flipped bullish and rejected this huge bearish pattern, which makes me even more bullish. Then we got a sitting, came back and sat on the old resistance. So that was obviously resistance. The market couldn't break through. The market tested the resistance, which then became support. And then the rest is history. From that point, that was super bullish. And I was talking about it, just I have to buy more and more and more because that was looking really cool. Then as it broke through again, through this little swing and again through the tops, it was like, all right, this is on. And then there you go. Rest is history. Yeah. So that's a full bullish pattern.
Yeah. So just for those who like are completely new to technical analysis, the reason those three tops is a bearish signal is because it's hitting this price point and it can't push through it. And 3 times it's failed. And then, so Jason is looking for that high volume as it was hitting that. And so that was going to push, the price out of that hump. And then ironically, it becomes then the support underneath. So then, it goes to show that that would be the support that the price wouldn't fall below, or it'd be very difficult for that to happen. So cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it was coming back to test to make sure that we're having a break now. It's just coming back to make sure, and it did it. And then it came on and just kept pushing, and then broke through the next top, sliced through the next one. And as we said, the rest is history. So that's a bearish pattern that we look for. And the double top happened. The triple top came, couldn't push down any further. And you can see the volume just start to die off. So the selling was trying to come in to push the market down, but no one was selling. And so the volume began to dry up because we don't have any more sellers left. People are buying, not enough sellers left. And that ultimately pushed the price up.
Now,
one last test before we took off.
Yeah, how consistent is this pattern? Like, for instance, did this same thing happen when it was under 10,000, when it busted through?
Yeah. So this is the pattern at 10,000, but how consistent is the pattern? It has a very high probability. I can't give you an exact percentage, but this has a pretty high probability of playing out. A triple top is generally a bearish pattern. So you're expecting the market to fall from this point, but it didn't fall. So then you're convinced, all right, this must be going the other way, because a market only goes up or down or sideways. And so at this point, it's gone sideways. It's not going down. Well, the answer's got to be up.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
a matter of time. Yeah.
Does this usually happen like on these psychological numbers, like 10,000, 20,000, and so forth?
It can. And obviously in Bitcoin, even more so, what I've seen, because it's such a immature market, like it's very young. And so we have so much emotion, so much energy in the market from young, inexperienced investors, not necessarily that they're young people, but just young at investing. And so the emotions play really highly into the game, and the news always comes out. We know 10,000 is a psychological number. Everyone's like, oh, is it going to break it? Is it going to break it? And so much emphasis is put around that number.
Now, okay, so actually, I was wondering if the same thing happened when the first time Bitcoin went over 10,000, which is, I think, back in 2017.
2017. I remember, I think we just had a high into 10,000. That was talked about a lot. So I'm on a weekly chart. By the time we got to 10,000, if you remember, we only had a couple of weeks left of the market before it topped out. 1, 2, it was pretty much 2 weeks left. And at that time, everything was absolutely bonkers. And
it just kept hitting all-time highs. Yeah.
So even at 10,000, it may have had just a slight pause. Yeah. I remember that because I had a friend asking me, look at that. So it doesn't look like much here, but we remember on that day where it was 29th of November, that was the day that it pushed above 10,000, came all the way back down. And for history, that was huge for us.
Yeah.
We were looking at a $2,000 bar when the market was only $10,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so it was. So it did pause at that 10,000, and we had 1, 2, 3 days closing at around that 10,000 price before it took off again.
Yeah.
And so it was such a strong bull market that 10,000 did hold it up for a little bit, but ultimately it was just so strong, and it only had 2 weeks left in it. 3 weeks.
I mean, that's a huge percentage move. That's crazy. Man.
Yeah, for that time. Now it's
Yeah.
like $2,000 in a day. It's like, oh, it's just another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But talking too about like taking your emotion out of these investments, it can be really hard, especially if you're new. So
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people subscribe to articles or publishings or YouTube channels that are always playing on those emotions of FOMO or FUD. So that's why I think it's really important if you're interested in technical analysis, if you're not there yet with the fundamentals, or, you know, for whatever reason you're focusing on this, I think it's really important to have this in your toolbox, so then you can have some wherewithal and then decipher what other people are saying and really how legitimate it is they're describing. Because I think that's a really important point what you brought up right at the beginning of the time frame, because the time frame of whatever you're seeing in the chart is reflective of how long that will play effect on the market. So it's not necessarily like Bitcoin is dead. There's like a bullish signal in the 1 hour chart, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when there's no news that day, let's just break the chart down as low as possible. Oh, there's news on the 1 minute chart. Let's talk about that. Like, I know I'm being stupid there, but sometimes it gets that crazy. And people ask, they're just like typing into YouTube, what's Bitcoin doing now? It's like, crazy.
Like right now. Okay. And right now.
Right now. Yeah. Should I buy or sell right now? Right now. So we talked about like support and resistance, which is a super easy one. And a lot of people can easily pick that up. Talk about some bearish patterns and bullish patterns, pretty much like just keeping it as simple as possible. Some double tops and like flipping to support and resistance being another bottom. Head and shoulders is looking at the time frames. And I guess just the last thing I wanted to mention, because it's like a nice, well-rounded package for newbies, is usually when you hear about a coin, I'm sure you've had it on your Twitter or YouTube. It's like, can you look at this coin? Can you look at this coin? It's usually at the end of a run, you know?
Exactly. Because they've already heard about it so long. So
Exactly. So let's have a look at DOT, because DOT is going crazy today. I'm not saying DOT's at the end of a run.
Actually, it's so funny. I think someone actually just commented on my channel this morning asking about choosing between Cardano and Polkadot. That's interesting.
And you're like, let's have a quick look now. Here's Polkadot. Like, that just looks like it's gone straight up. Not saying it can't go any higher, but then your risk becomes so much higher. For it to double now from this point, I think it's like at $13 or $14 billion market cap. It's flipped Ripple. I think we're all happy about that. XRP, sorry, might hurt the army. But for it to double from this point to get to $30, that's huge. Yeah, but you're putting in so much risk just to double your money. Whereas before, the safe entries were, obviously we saw it again when it breaks through the resistance, it came back, sat on it as support, pushed off with high volume. You know, we're buying in at $6, $7. We've doubled the money now, and everyone's trying to get in late. So just comparing this to ADA, like overall, I'll throw this on auto. We're sitting pretty low between the other, you know, the old all-time highs.
Yeah.
With that said, you might have some resistance at the, you know, at the price points earlier on, which were further back at 40 cents. And it looks like it's sort of going through that now, but both of them had a decent run. You know, you want to be buying it when no one's talking about it. So that's pretty much the point there. When it's boring and quiet, that's pretty much when we want to be.
Exactly. That's how you're ahead of the crowd and you can benefit from
Nobody's talking about
staying with the market. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was dead. It was dead back then.
Yeah. Oh, so take a look at Ethereum. Let me know what you think of that.
Ethereum.
I'm sure there's going to be people wanting to.
Now that we have you
Ethereum.
on here, Jason.
Yeah. Well, we're up at the highs.
Yeah.
So all I'm seeing here, and this is another classic, it's a bit more advanced, which I learned along the way, was you've got like I'm going to get into swings now, but you've got, there's the top. That's the all-time high in 2018. Bottom, another top. So we have a swing top essentially because the market's then reversed. Markets tend to come back and test that lower swing top. So there's the high, and the lower swing top was around 1200. Now we're testing that and we're finding some resistance. But if we break through that, it's like off to the races. And most of us think it's going to break through that. So I think it's just a matter of time, but I think it's fantastic that it's actually loading up again right here.
Yeah.
Meaning we just didn't shoot straight through it, because at some point we have to pull back. And now that we're pulling back before the resistance, that gives us that extra boost of energy to go on even further.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of accumulation
Oh.
being done right now.
Yeah, this could be another reaccumulation before the breakout. It looks crazy. Like, I mean, we were in the market a long time. We were buying it at $100, $200, $300 ETH, $400 ETH. I may have even bought some on these last pullbacks here in 500, but we were doing all our buying down here. And now we're like, oh, 1200, that's crazy. But for new people coming in, it still seems all right because it's below the all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
I do have
It's
one
crazy.
question I'd love your opinion on is often
Yeah.
I'm asked like why altcoins seem to follow the trend of Bitcoin and also why the charts of, I mean, I think this was more true back in 2017, 2018 when like most of the altcoin charts looked very similar. I don't think that it's so much now that way anymore, but why do you think that was? Or yeah, why do altcoins follow Bitcoin and they tend to generally have similar charts?
You've probably heard the theory yourself. It's like new people come through to Bitcoin, then they try to find something else like Ethereum. Then once Ethereum's popped, they're like, what am I going to do with my money? And they start to throw it into alts. I didn't really believe that at first, but now I see it in my comments, in the comment section of the videos. It was all about Bitcoin. Now it's all about Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like, well, where am I going to make my money next? And then the risk just becomes higher and higher. So it's like down to the altcoins. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I think also because now that Bitcoin is again hitting all-time highs, people think that they can't afford it or it's like they've missed their chance or whatever. And so like they go for like the next best thing. But absolutely, it's more risky for sure. Yeah.
Which is pretty much all we knew that Ripple had going for it, XRP, because it sits in that top 10. I don't know if you guys are holders, but you don't want to talk about it. It gets pretty heated out there with the Ripple people, the XRP people.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I mean, if it's deemed a security, I mean, I guess they're gonna have to pay a bunch, and it's probably not going to do too much of the price. I mean, maybe it goes to 15 cents, maybe.
Yeah, but now that the SEC chairman's been changed, who knows if they're going to follow through or what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, right.
A lot to think about.
So do charts actually work on something like that when there's a pending SEC hearing?
Let's take a look. So Ripple, you can see Ripple is sitting at the bottom.
Okay.
Just hanging on because that was the bottom before it took off the first time.
Okay.
If it doesn't hold this 700, I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart now, Ripple versus XRP versus Bitcoin. Then if it doesn't hold that and it breaks through that 400 level, this is around the 500 Satoshis. It's going to be at new all-time lows against Bitcoin value when everything else is going up. Like that's a really weak sign. And that's still sitting there. It's not moving when everything else is going up. Again, it's like, it's still pretty weak. We have to say that like there's volume being bought up here, but there's not much going on. Like it's trying to push and there's just no push happening when we all agree the rest of the market is feeling very bullish right now. You can't really pick a project that's not, just throw the dart at the board, we know the saying, and everything starts to pop off. But Ripple, keep calling it Ripple because that's what we called it in 2017. No one was like XRP. Everyone called it Ripple back then. Yeah.
It's anonymous, but anyway.
What's that?
We're going to get a lot of downvotes on this video, but it's okay. I'm used to it. Whenever I mention XRP, it's like, that's okay.
We don't need to, we won't mention it in the title. They won't make it this far in the video anyway. They're only interested in Ripple.
It's the title.
They won't make it. And even if they downlike it, it's just engagement. YouTube wants engagement.
It's still a reaction.
But so anyway, the point is everything else is bullish. Why isn't XRP moving?
So what would be the most bullish, what is the most bullish chart you're looking at right now?
The most bullish. They've kind of popped off. And the last one I was looking at was Atom. And I was like, I should get some of this. I'm looking at the dollar. So, Tether. So Atom versus Tether. I was looking at it just starting to break some of these highs. And I thought, yeah, that's probably good. And then yesterday happened. Massive volume as it broke through cleanly all of these highs. and now it's heading back for its old all-time high of $9. So that I'm trying to pick one that hasn't broken out yet, because DOT was something I was looking at weeks ago, continued to buy in, and now DOT's all the way up here. You know, I was looking at it through here because it broke through the tops. Sweet, buy at $6, $7. I thought I missed the opportunity. It came back. This was the scare when Bitcoin dumped. All right, just buy more. It's fine. Buy more at $8, and you know, here we are. So that was like a nice bullish pattern. I really love that. That's injective. Not yet, but Link was looking good.
Oh yeah.
It's all-time
Look
high,
at that.
right?
It just broke through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just broke through its all-time high, which
Amazing.
looks very similar. Don't you think this pattern looks quite similar to Atom?
Oh yeah.
What's going to happen next? Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're just waiting on that break. It's kind of very similar pattern. Yeah, it just
Looks like it
accumulated
has
again
more
before it
volume
took
for
off.
here than it did in the previous all-time high too.
Yeah, I assume you're pointing down here. Yeah, and that just more volume as it pushed up, and then it continued up. So that's like conviction after conviction. It's just checkbox, looking good, looking very good.
Nice.
So that's why I liked Atom as well.
Yeah. That's great.
I mean, especially in a world where cryptos exist and it's not necessarily on fundamental value if they succeed. I think that's where this can really play in and supplement, you know, where you can see it going. If it just doesn't make sense, like that the coin is doing, like the team are building really anything in the short term, at least, if you're looking for a way to play the crypto market, the TA could definitely play it.
Totally agree. It's like, as long as they know how to market, they have some buzzwords, the volumes here, like it's going to pop off at some point. Just don't be left holding the dirty bags. That's it.
Exactly.
Sure.
Musical chairs. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Super helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any final tips? Like, how can people reach you? What are you working on? What are you excited about, Jason?
Well, they can reach me on my YouTube channel, which is Jason Pizzino. You might have a link down there somewhere if you get around to it. Otherwise, you can just search me on YouTube. That's the main place. I've got Instagram they can go and check out. But yeah, primarily through YouTube, and I'm working on a long-term investing course for guys, because I'm not interested in giving day trading tips. It's not about that. It's like the long-term game. So
that's good.
Yeah, that's where they can find me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you for this, Jason. I think this is super helpful. And
if there's another time that you want to come on the show and you find some great stuff, and come on.
Ask the viewers.
Yeah.
If they want me to come back, great. If they want to hear another Aussie voice, I'll come back.
Definitely.
If they've had enough of my Aussie, if they want to. I'm happy to. I love it.
To be fair, I've known Jason for quite a long time, and he seems to be really good at technical analysis. Most traders actually lose money, regardless of what people are saying on Twitter. So this guy actually is making money. So he's one of the very few people in the world, literally in the world, that actually makes money. So trading.
Yeah. And it's no problem just to take profits. Everyone wants to, like, newbies want to take the tops and the bottoms. Just take the profits, and you live to fight another day. That's it.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I loved it. I would be more than happy to come back.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason.
All right. Cheers, guys.